This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. It is definitely challenging times for all of us. Lots going on in our world, a lot of uncertainty, but there's big challenges for men right now. And it's almost hard to believe, but many men are lonely. If you look at some of the stats and some of the surveys that come back, you would think that guys are just hanging with their buds and it's all great and everything's fantastic, but it's really not that way, especially for younger men. And there's no support. They don't know where to turn. They don't have each other to turn to. So we turn to her, and she's somebody that helps men move their lives forward in many different ways in terms of struggling with their confidence, finding support, finding balance in life, reconnecting with life and themselves at the same time. And we're going to learn a lot today from Andrea Pineau, who joins us on the program. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing what you do, because I don't know a lot of people that do what you do, where you focus on men, certain age category. We're talking about Generation X, correct?
We are, yeah.
Okay. And just offer that support. That was my assumption, and based on talking with others and researching, and I love studying things. Is that what you're hearing from men? That those are the struggles, the challenges that many of them are going through right now?
I don't know if I'm hearing it from them specifically. Hearing anything from a Gen X man, I think, is sometimes difficult. They don't really like to talk a whole lot, and a rapport has to be built. But I think across the board consensus would be that when we reach the age like early 40s into our 50s, changes are happening, and there are changes that weren't talked about before or weren't foreseen, and they affect us. They definitely affect men. A lot of men got into jobs that paid well because they were told to do that. So they started in their early 20s and they stuck with it day in and day out. By their 40s, kids are leaving the nest and they're thinking, I don't need to do this anymore, but what do I want to do? What do I even like? Right. So it's I want to change a career, or I want to move to a smaller house, or a lot of the times, unfortunately, relationships end because they were together for children. And then they are, who am I? Who am I without a spouse or children who are pulling at my pant leg? Like, what is my purpose? So it is both challenging and fun to rediscover and have all those aha moments.
As a man, I get exactly what you're saying. And I've been through those journeys and still am going through a lot of them. And you're right. Most men don't open up. I'm part of a men's group where we talk about a lot of this stuff, and we also work with the community and teach leadership. And I've been with them about a year and change. And the group, and it varies. Like we'll do a certain tour with about 10 men for, it could be 4 months. Sometimes it's 6. This tour right now, it's a longer one. I've been on 3 so far. This one by far is the best and the deepest men out of any that I've experienced within the group. And a lot of them joined about the same time I did. So we're kind of like on this journey together and learning about each other and learning how to help each other. I'm going to share this because this is very impactful.
No, I want you to. This is amazing.
We did an exercise 2 nights ago. We meet once a week for a couple of hours. And the exercise was, we get a handful of index cards that match the number of men in the room aside from yourself. And you needed to write the man's name on one side, and on the other side, you have to ask him a question based on things you hear, and not funny stuff, just because we joke around a lot too. But and it doesn't have to be like serious, riveting things, but it's also like pondering. Like one man, great guy, great heart. He's struggling. He's not in any relationship. I think he's gotten burned, so he's like, "Nah, I'm not doing that again." It's been years. Even job wise, he's doing his thing, but it's not. He's working on a side hustle and trying to grow that. Give him a lot of credit for that. But my question to him was, where do you see yourself professionally in 5 years? I wanted him to see that, face that. And we don't read the questions. They don't even know who wrote the question. It's all anonymous. It was just one of the men in the group we actually put all the cards on a whiteboard, and we just randomly pick them off, or pick them off. Okay, this is for insert name. Here's one for you. But it was an eye opener, and one of them, one man, likes to drink a little bit more. There's no issues there or anything like that, but it's also like, well, why do you do that? And one of the men wanted to know, threw the question out there, but it was like a mirror. And I believe that's what you are, in a nice positive way, where you're challenging men to think about themselves and their lives where they don't, because we're programmed to take care of people. So we just, do our thing day in and day out. Now you're 45. OMG, what do I do now? Yep. To your point, right?
Yeah. Not just think about themselves and their lives, but in a compassionate way.
Yeah.
Because I think that was omitted completely from any sort of upbringing in many, I don't want to say all, but many Gen X men. It starts when they're very young and they fall at 2 years old and scrape their knee, and they're like, get up, dust it off.
Big boys
right?
don't cry. Man up.
Right. But now I don't want to get into like gender battles, but if it was a little girl, somebody would have scooped her up, and oh, poor thing, right? It starts so young, and they're taught, and I know we don't want to do anything to hurt our children, but it is just the way it was then, taught to ignore that feeling of hurt.
Yeah.
And they take that forward. And so, like you said, you get 45 and now you're thinking about things. So I try to show them to think about it from a compassionate perspective. Because a lot of the times they have moments where they felt unwell, or right now in this changing time, it's scary, really scary. It's confusing. They don't know that they're not the only ones that feel this way, because typically they don't talk, which is why I really, really love hearing about your men's group, and why I have decided to go ahead and start a group coaching throughout the summer. I feel like if they can get together and chat and understand that they're not the only ones. Unless you're maybe in a hockey league with some change room chatter and some, back and forth about how things are going at home, you wouldn't know. Like, if they isolate themselves and don't talk about things outside, you have no idea that everybody is scared, everybody's struggling, everybody needs support. So looking like just sharing that information with a man, it builds tremendous support for me, but it allows them to, like, really, they had no idea.
It's so true. And I see it in this journey that I'm on. And especially, most men are masked up. Like that hockey league, fantastic. Camaraderie, some exercise, having a good time. They're not talking about the personal stuff. Very rare. If anything, they're itching about it. Things that are going on.
Yeah. So it comes out as like a little rant, as opposed to like, listen, guys, I'm like feeling a kind of way. That I don't think those words would come out of one's mouth. If they do, however, I think that person, if there's a man that is willing, I think that person becomes someone to look up to, someone to follow, someone who can lead and show a new way.
And many men are empathetic.
That you're in this group.
Yeah, there's a lot of empathy in a lot of men, but they don't want to show it. They just like pull it back, and for all the reasons that you said in terms of society. Before we even continue, I find it unique that you are a woman helping men. I think it's fantastic. If I was going to make a choice for a coach, I'm going to be honest, I'd pick a woman. I don't know why. I just feel there's more honesty, sensitivity, understanding. Yes, men can understand other men. Um, but I know coaching is different from therapy, but I've had therapists who are
Yeah.
men. After a while, I'm like, no, this is not working. They're not getting me. And that's my personal choice, my personal feeling.
Of course. Yeah.
That said, what got you here?
Okay. So, first, the stats. When we look at like the fact is I love hearing about groups that like the one you're in. There's one in my area as well in Ontario, Canada, that I know of. They're coming about, but there's still such a shortage of support for
Mm,
men. So I'm a helping person, I've always been a helping person. When my business coach said you need to choose a niche,
mm.
I was looking for where I felt I could provide the most support. Um, and it is also a driving factor for me to work hard if I feel like there's a need there. Not as an individual coaching relationship, but as a big picture. If I can do things like this with you and on Instagram and share and create a space, then I feel I'm fulfilling a purpose um, that that is needed. So from like a statistics, like worldly sort of view, that was my motivation. Um, as a mom, I have two boys. I really want them to grow up to be confident, self advocates for them, like for themselves, with great self esteem, living in their masculine, well rounded young men. And this is a great platform for me to be on to teach them from here. Also, men find it easy to talk to me. They always have. That's just open up. And so if I'm someone that they can talk to, I want to be that person. I want to be able to make that difference.
Now, we've said it's not therapy, it's coaching. But I have to believe some of those things come up, like marriage, relationship, divorce, that type of stuff that may, kind of skirt the therapy line there, but it's all part of a man's journey and trying to figure things out. Um, do you talk about those things as well in your sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't so usually the start of a coaching session is like a win, how's your week been? Um and there's like a moment of venting if there's been a challenge or something that they a goal they reached that we spoke about the week before or a barrier to that goal. So there is open conversation. It's not just getting right down to business. And sometimes there's some things that they want to just discuss. A lot of that looks like just listening. Um, but again, when as a person who likes to educate, if there's a barrier that they're trying to overcome, sometimes just explaining to them kind of how um, how life sort of works with and how our mind works and our how our ego creates limitations within us, that sort of thing. Sometimes just explaining it gives them a new perspective. So they can set it aside and then move forward, knowing this new information. If if it's outside of my scope of practice, I could because I am a social service worker as well.
Hmm.
So I do know some of the those things. But if it goes outside of my scope of practice, I have lots of um, different professionals I can refer them to, and so then they can concurrently see both of us if it's needed, if they feel it's needed.
I love the fact that you're also a social services worker. Uh, It shows you run deep. This isn't just well, I think I'll get a
You.
certification in coaching. Let me pick men. I think they need help. Here I am. There's more to it than that for you. There definitely
There
is.
is. There's absolutely more. It's I did social service worker first. I love I love the idea of coaching. People that come into the coaching realm, are often very goal oriented and looking to overcome a challenge or a barrier and are gonna do it. Like they want to do it. So each week there's huge amounts of progress. They see it, I see it. The atmosphere and coaching is kind of what I'm after. It's the energy. When it's a different kind of energy, I can meet them where they're at as a social service worker.
Sure.
But I chose coaching for that reason. It's a different energy. It's me on the sidelines and them in the game. And there's a lot of very quick changes, and you can see differences. And when you're someone who likes results and are motivated by results, then that is definitely where coaching comes in
Do you find that
for both.
I sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to clarify, it was for both the coach and the coachee. Yeah.
I'm wondering, like you talk about the wins and progress. Do you find that many men don't give themselves proper credit for
Oh yeah.
what they've achieved, or they'll only look at the last couple of weeks. Nothing went on. But if you took it and looked at it in a 6-month chunk or a year, you'd see something very different. Like when I look back to the last 6 months, I'm like, what just happened? Like went from here to here to here to here to all these things took place. And in my journey, this is what I realized that, and that my word would be resilience. Like I moved things forward. And a few years back, people would say to me, like, how you getting through? How you doing that? And I would just say, I'm just keep moving forward. I don't even know how we'd do it. It just happened because I just kept moving forward. But you feel like a lot of men don't give themselves credit.
Yes. As soon as you said that, you didn't even have to explain. Just, do you feel like men don't give themselves credit? 100%. Um, the the people that sort of come into my space, knowing that I do self-esteem, are some that sense that maybe they could use some of that. So they come into my space, and a lot of the times they've taken everyone else's word for it. So things like, why don't you do this? You never listen to me.
Mm,
You're detached. You're not like the things that they hear, whether it's in relationship, their like intimate partner relationship, or in their extended family, are things that they've internalized and they believe it. So giving themselves credit would seem outside of the norm. They so we talk about not necessarily taking everyone's word for it. The proof is in the pudding. It's the weirdest saying, but it comes up a lot. When you look at, for example, your last 6 months, you see that you made changes. So for me, I take the things that I know about them and I show them why some of the things they've been told are not true. They're
mm,
not facts. I do a lot of, is it a fact? Show me how it's a fact. So if it's not a fact that you're, say, lazy, I don't like that word, but people use it. Somebody calls somebody late. Is it a fact? Tell me how they can prove this. Because what I see is someone who's showing up, someone who's trying, and someone who's reached a barrier and reached out for help. So now you sit here with me. This isn't laziness. This is motivated. This is bravery. This is like you're doing it. So I will pull strengths, I will show facts, and it starts to change their perspective a little bit. Then we work on not listening to what everybody else says, not internalizing what's happening outside, and going inside and saying, is that true? Can they, like, do I want to take that at their word? Or, are they venting on me and I don't need to absorb it? It's not
mm.
about me. They're having a bad day and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Right. So,
You
yeah,
mentioned
that's how we
before
try to.
the society thing where that goes back to childhood. Big boys don't cry. Man up. Come on.
Yeah.
Do you feel that a lot of is it a fact? A lot of those things go back to childhood too, where you may have heard something and now, call it the subconscious, where it's floating in your subconscious that you're not good enough. free to admit, I got bullied. I was the fat kid. And it definitely made a mark on me. And then there was other things that presented along the way, even in childhood, even up to the age of 7, that in your mind would back up those, thoughts of not good enough, can't succeed. Da, da, da. Now, fast forward to adult life, and then you're still looking for evidence of that stuff being true, but it's not true. It's, like you just said, when you hold the mirror up to a man and he realizes, yeah, I'm not lazy, I'm at a block, right?
And I'm not the only one that's at the block. That's the thing. They kind of feel like they're the only person in the whole wide world with this challenge or this fear or this um feeling, whatever it is that they feel alone in that. So bringing to light that they're not alone, and
Mm,
it's something many people go through as the human condition. It like they like just breathe a sigh of relief, like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. Like suddenly they no longer feel incompetent to
yep.
function or overcome challenges. Now they see that it happens to many people and it can be done. But what you were saying about society is, I feel like teachers and parents, when the little ones are little, they're the biggest influences. And if one teacher in elementary school labels you as the bad child or things like that, then that gets carried through. And it's unfair, but it's happened. I don't know about where you
Truth.
are, but we're here where I am physically on the planet. There's a lot of things happening where there's awareness being brought to that. So things are changing. Um, but for the Gen X man, I mean, I watched this poor kid get spanked in class daily.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. I was just going to say that. That happened to me in second grade. I'm not even kidding.
right?
And you said teacher and spanking. Here you go. I'm going to laser this down real quick, but to illustrate your point, second grade class, Ms. Baruch, never forget her name. I started laughing. I don't know why. Just like, just started laughing. Little second grader. She grabs me by the arm, puts me in front of the class, spanks me like up my bottom, and then makes me sit there in front of her desk facing the
Goodness.
class. And I went home and I told my mom, and my mom told the principal, and it elevated to the district, and there was, hearing or whatever. The woman was wrong. I got a new teacher, but where did that leave me? I truly believe
Yeah.
I find humor in things, but people have said, "How come you don't laugh out loud?" Like I'm not the one like we watch a movie and go, "Ah, that's so funny!" Ah. Just not me, not
Oh,
me. And I bet you it goes back to that.
carried it with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I'm
to,
so sorry that happened to you.
it's, I got a full list, but it's one of those, that's like you just said, parents and teachers and other, those in authority in the eyes of a child, make a mark. Would you say, based on everything you've learned, Andrea, now, if you look back, would you have parented a little bit differently now, knowing that you're armed with a lot of the tools and insight? Would you do it a little bit differently?
Well, I get to do it now because I have two older children,
Mm,
almost 21 and almost 18, and I have a 5-year-old. I do think I was very, very rigid with my first two in my late 20s and early 30s. It was I and now I know they grow up fast. I take more time.
mm,
We just
yep,
I slow down a little bit.
yep,
I want to be more mindful, less absolutely rigid in things. So I definitely, yes, as
yeah,
I grow,
yeah.
I
And
learn.
that's
And so
no fault of yours. That's what do we pilot on? What we got from our parents and what they got from their parents. Because I'll tell you, yeah, and my some of my kids are the same age as yours. My youngest is 17. Um, I didn't get the manual that tells you how to parent. I'm still waiting for it. If maybe
yeah,
maybe it got lost in the postal service. I don't know, but maybe I can look online if it's available. I didn't get
there
it,
is definitely not one.
and
Yeah,
not one manual that fits all. We're just about out of time. Wonderful talking with you. Breath of fresh air for men everywhere. Got to tell
you
you.
as well.
Oh my gosh. How do
Thank
we
you.
connect with you? Even to start a conversation of how this might look. And yes, it's a relationship. So a man reaches out to you, he's got to feel comfortable. And likewise, how do we find you?
On the web at www.lifecoachformen.ca and directly via email at andrea@lifecoachformen.ca.
Andrea is Andrea. It's spelled the way it sounds. And I can see why men feel comfortable talking with you. I really can. Like I'm totally comfortable sharing stuff. And I think that's your superpower. In fact, I know it is. Thank you so much for being here today and doing what you do, and looking forward going into some deeper dives to help men next time we get together.
In 2 weeks, I'll see you then. Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.